preparing, and we are live streamed. So Amelia, you and I are able, we're going to pause for a moment. I'm going to go find this on my wall and share it to the Tapestry group. And if you would like to share it in your places, now is the perfect time. So let's see. And then we're going to drop in.
Perfect. Yep, I'm sharing it now. It's at posting. It says posting. Share it to your profile. Perfect.
Beautiful. I went to type live and it came out love, of course, because we're talking about love today.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Hello, welcome, Amelia
Hello.
Neva Nagy. Am I saying all of that right?
Yes.
Yes. And you are coming to us from Hungary.
I am in Hungary. Yes.
How did you end up in Hungary? Because I think this relates to everything we're talking about today.
It does relate to everything. Well, I prayed to God. I wanted to know my cosmic place. We were living in the United States and I didn't quite feel at home there. I lived in a few different countries. But yeah, I wasn't really quite home in San Diego. And so I prayed and we got a little nudge to think about Hungary, which is my husband and he's Hungarian. He was born in this little town. And when COVID hit, we're like, should we jump? And then, we prayed some more and then like, yeah, I think we're gonna jump. And so we jumped. We thought, okay, we'll be here for a year. And if we like it, we'll stay. And we're heading into our 4th year. So I love it. Yeah, we're in this little European town, lots of farms around, still very unadulterated, like uncommercialized. A lot of sort of like the native culture of this country. It's just beautiful. I love it. The language is very hard. So that's a big struggle for me, especially because I was a bit of a smart ass because I speak a lot of other languages. So I thought it was going to be easy, but no. I barely can say, 5 things.
I have not ever spent the time or been in a position to learn another language. And I imagine learning any language certainly has its challenges, but a European language like Hungary, I have a friend who is from Czech Republic, and just listening to it, it has such a different, strong accent in unique ways, and it feels very full of passion when she speaks.
Yeah, exactly. And this is like the 5th hardest language in the world after like Chinese and Japanese. And so, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm on to the next level of ego massage and death over here. With all the humility that I need in order to, have the life I want. So yeah, we're on the next level.
I love that. And I feel like what you just said is in that ego death and humility. I feel like that is a beautiful sort of weave into some of our conversation today around your beautiful body of work.
Yeah.
I love reading the way that you write about sacred partnership love and the way that you approach with such a no nonsense. Like, I feel like when I read you, I'm sitting in a room talking to you. And so I would first of all love to touch on, I read a piece of yours that you wrote just in the last day or so, and you talked about sacred rebellion.
Yeah.
So in my work as well, intimacy, women loving themselves, really deeply connecting with themselves and wanting that union, true union, not just a good guy and a great relationship and have a house and have a family, but that deeper, intimate, soulful, partnered union that then becomes very generative and creational in its expression. This is your body of work, and so many women crave this.
Yes.
And I've experienced myself, I feel like many women do, where it feels inaccessible. It feels like she doesn't know how. It feels like it's foreign to understand, to figure out that magic formula that draws in the man who wants that partnered union.
Yeah.
So I would love you to speak to how that moves in the deeper nuances of your creation of this body of work. And certainly I have read, I know from reading you, pieces about your relationship with your husband, but for listeners who are in a place where, whether they're already in relationship and they want it to come deeper into union and partnership, or they're single and desire to connect with a man, what role does sacred rebellion play in this? What does that mean?
Oh, so good. So good. I think in all ways now women are going into sacred rebellion. That's the rise of the divine feminine, right? Sacred rebellion against corporate jobs that don't nourish our spirits and don't nourish our families, right? Sacred rebellion against how we should look or who we should be or how we should behave or how we should speak. Should we play small? Should we be submissive, right? Like all these messages that are coming in from the mainstream, that are coming in from the cultural narrative that we live in, right? A lot of the feminine, and I know this is what this tapestry is about too, right? It's coming into our power, our
Yes.
full creative sovereign power of who we are. And part of creating that sacred union is coming into our power. And
Mm.
I think that's the piece that I'm gonna just honestly own my rage about right now, because there's so much misinformation, especially in the polarity space, about submission and what the feminine is, what the masculine is, and what is dominance and what is that, and how should a man be, how should a woman be, what is the feminine thing to say, what is the masculine thing to say, the feminine thing to do, them, right? Like all these messages. And so the sacred rebellion to me means the seeking of the truth, the seeking of, no, I'm
Mm.
not going to listen. I'm not going to listen to the outside. I'm going to become the woman that I am in my own power. And I'm calling you now, every single woman listening, I'm calling you now, because that is the part of you that's going to create a sacred partnership. You're not going to have a sacred partnership if you're not in your power. And so the sacred rebellion is about, yes, in this area, your sacred rebellion is needed too, because you need to be in your full creative power to co-create that synergy, right? It's the 1 + 1 is not 2, it's now 11, right? We're creating, we're co-creating, we're synergizing, not just symbiosis. Not, oh, you do for me, I do for you, la di da di da, right? No, it's you bring this and I bring this, and now we're like all of this that we would never be on our own. It's way greater than the sum of its parts, right? So
Yes.
yes, it does require rebellion. It really does, because that is not what we're taught. That is not what we're modeled. I doubt you could name 1 or 2 movies or series on TV that portray that
Mm.
kind of power. I mean, there are some, like I think it happened in Avatar. I think we see some of it here and there. We see glimpses of that whole idea, right? But it's kind of something that, like many things, have been stripped from our day to day. And that's where the sacred rebellion comes in, is in committing and really rebelling towards reclaiming that. So I call it rebellion. Some people might not call it that, but I call it that because it feels like rebelliousness to me.
Well, and there's so many pieces in what you said that ring absolutely true for me and in my experience. I do agree with you that it is a rebellion. Even the piece that you spoke, which I hadn't made this sort of connector previously, in deciding to sort of turn off all the voices, in, including and especially because we're talking about it today, in the relationship polarity space and conversation. On a very personal note, when George and I decided we were going to really create the foundation of our relationship much more in the way that you're speaking about. I love that you said it's 11, 11, 11, 11. That full standing side by side, it required, at first, I did look around. I looked around. I was already immersed in that coaching space. And so all around me were lots of teachings, polarity based. Tried it, tried to live it, was not the depth that at this stage of maturity in our relationship brought energy that would thrive between us and become
Yes.
generative,
Yes.
creative, not just
Yes.
existing and dependency, but
Right.
really to change the relationship to have its own power, its own
Mm-hmm.
creative energy. So I agree with you completely in that. And I never saw that as a sacred rebellion, but it is.
It is, and I celebrate you for doing it because that's. It sounds like that's exactly what you did.
We did.
Yeah.
And we chose it together. We chose that we wanted integral relationship. We didn't want um, the the polarity. I think, in my experience, is essential. It's an
Mm-hmm.
essential cycle, and it still remains in our relationship, but it's not the goalposts. It's not the driving, deciding factor of
Yeah.
how we are creating and moving.
Yes.
There was something else that you said as well that I wanted to touch on in that. Let me get back to it because I knew the Sacred Rebellion, I knew the 1111. Um, it'll come back. It'll come
Yeah. It'll
back
come back.
anyway. I I I'm curious what you find when you're engaging in this field and with women. What is the biggest challenge for her? Oh, hold on. I want to go back. I just
You
remembered
got
what it is. I knew it would come back and I knew
You
it was
got it.
big. Power. I want to talk about power. And you're using the same language that I find coming through me in relationship to tapestry, which is
Mm.
feminine creative power. And
Mm-hmm.
I would love you to speak to this, Amelia, because certainly in my own lineage, I have bumped into it. I do still bump into residues of it where our understanding of feminine power is that her heart is very protected, but that solar plexus power center is alive and projecting energy. And that's not the kind of power that we're talking about. We're not talking about the get tough and strong and
Mm-hmm.
grab your weapons and be in your power, fight for your rights, make your voice heard, which have all had their time and
Right.
certainly may again. But that's not the power you're speaking about, correct?
Yeah. Correct. It's a different kind of power that we don't get. Again, I don't think we get taught about. I don't think we get modeled enough of it, and we know, which is why I'm so passionate and crazy about this work, and I think it's really important to do it. And I just want to say to the listeners, the only reason why I'm here, by the way, is because I was a disaster. Like, the
Mm.
only reason why I will own that I do have a level of mastering this, but it's because I started from recovering from narcissistically abusive family of origin, recreating that pattern, dating, recreating that over and over and over until therapy, coaching, etc., implementing, falling, get back on the horse, right? So that's the only reason why I'm here at all, is because I just want to frankly share with the listeners. I just ran as far the hell away as I could from what I saw my parents did.
Hmm.
And not to blame them. They did the best they could. They were 22-year-old kids when they had me. They were, I mean, they were who they were. But it was like, I am not doing that. So let me run in the opposite direction as fast as I can for as long as I can. And I didn't even know that I would be here. I didn't even know that what I now have co-created with my husband is possible. I just happened to have learned it all along the way because of all my failures. So I just want to say that so that nobody's like, who the hell is she that she thinks she knows what she's talking about? Well, it's just because I did. I walked the walk. I walked the
Yeah.
walk and I fell
Yeah.
down a lot, a lot, a lot. And so the power piece, and this is why I know this, because with narcissistic abuse and when you start creating those kind of dynamics, which is also kind of how we're culturally raised, right? It's like somebody has power over you, right? The government, the state, the cultural norms, right? And so the power I'm talking about is a different kind of power. It's a very quiet, I'm one with God and I'm one with source and I'm one with the goddess and creation and the creator of the universe. And that's in me. That creative power is in me because I've worked with it. And
Mm.
whatever that looks for the women listening, whether that's in your meditation, whether that's in your expressive arts projects or your martial arts or your dance, like whatever it is, there is somewhere in your life where you have access, where you can touch that. And so as you start touching that and nourishing that and connecting with that and making it a daily exercise and flow, it's kind of like this feeling of, yeah, I know you're gonna do that to that side. Well, like I know you're gonna say that, and I'm gonna still create what I want to fucking create. Like, so it's kind of that power, and it kind of like goes in with the rebelliousness of like, yeah, you can tell me A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can make me think that, I'm not capable or I don't have access to these things, but I believe in my own magic. I believe in my
Mm.
own magic. And so I'm going to do what I fucking choose. And that is the feminine creative, right? It's like we don't go along. We're not, we go along when it's aligned for us, when we are in resonance, but we don't just go along with something just to go along,
Right.
which is kind of like what we're taught. So when I talk about that power, and especially in relationships, right? Like many of us were modeled, either we're better, like than the men, because screw them, they're like incapable of doing what women can do, right? The whole feminist movement, and that's part of it. Or we can't be in our power and have love.
Right.
So that's to answer your next question you were coming in with. What is the big piece that I see?
Yeah.
That is a big piece I see. Women
Mm.
are in their power in their business, they're in their power in their career, they're doing the mother thing great if they have kids. But when it comes to men, they do not know how to
Mm.
stand their power. And a lot of times it comes through the lineage because the women in the lineage didn't know. And those before them didn't know because of the circumstances they grew up in. And it comes in through our culture because like I said, we don't get models of how do you have this amazing love story and stay in your power.
Mm. Mm. Yes, and I have myself within my experience, both growing up and witnessing the adults around me, and also marrying my husband when he was 30, I was 20. And
Mm-hmm.
so my relationship to my own power
Mm-hmm.
was very, very small. I didn't understand. And what was modeled for me was if a woman had power, it was very forceful, it was very aggressive, and it was very entitled. And the
Mm.
power that, as you're speaking it, I so much feel, and I know it's true from my own experience as well, of the evolution from that 20-year-old who had no idea about life and the world and tucked herself right underneath of the man, to this
Mm.
woman now who has had to come out and stand beside him.
Mm-hmm.
When you speak about power, I feel the truth of it, that it's not a pushing out, it's a holding and remaining steady and present with herself
Mm-hmm.
within, and the power then on its own begins to emanate and move into the world. She's not driving it, she's not
Mm-mm.
forcing it. She's not, that rebellion isn't a temper tantrum to get
Yeah.
attention and to get power, right? The temper
Hmm.
tantrum would be to get power that she cannot create and hold and recognize and honor and even express. It requires,
Hmm.
like, that's such a big piece of it I see now, and I imagine plays into your work, Amelia, is that she has to, in some form, express it. She can't just, okay, I'm in my power, and it's just sitting there dormant inside of herself. Power to be activated needs to be felt and moved and in relationship with. Yes?
Yes. And that is what healthy masculine men love.
Mm,
So a healthy masculine man who's in his power, he doesn't he doesn't want you not in your power. He wants you in your power.
yes.
He needs you in your power because you nourish him and he will nourish you. That's the synergy I talk about.
Mm,
So when we express, I would like this. Actually, I think my desire is this. Actually, that doesn't feel as comfortable as I thought it might. But this is kind of sounding exciting, right? Like when we share with him from
yes.
that place, my mentor, Allison Armstrong, calls it that quality information that comes from our heart, from us being in our power of,
Mm,
she calls it quality information, but it's that sharing of what we actually desire to create. Like, remember when I said, yeah, they say that, but I'm just going to do what I want because I can, right? Not to piss them off, but to honor myself, right? And to create with my own power. It's like masculine men want to be a part of that. They're like, ooh, what is she up to? How can I contribute? Like, they want to know because they know it's so juicy. So they're like,
yes.
whatever she's got cooking up in there, I'm going to build it for her. I'm going to bring her the fire if she's baking something, right? Like, and they love that. They want that place in our life. They want that trust. They want that sacred partnership of where we allow them to
Mm,
be part of our mission, our vision, our dreams, our desires, our deep heart desires. And that's the sacred union. That's that sacred synergy. And it can't happen if we're not in our power, because then we can't say what we desire. And then what
right,
are we doing? We're just, and then of course you can't create a fulfilling partnership because you're not even there.
right. Yes. Yes. And I have witnessed it in myself over the years of a vacillation from,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have power because you didn't give me permission, to,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, you don't get it, so I'm going to do it for myself. And there's a different mm, sensation in that from what you're talking about. Like, how I experienced it wasn't that full in herself creative juice of, I know this is my right movement. And I understand out here there may not be support or understanding of it, but I do know this is my right movement. And so I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
move in this direction. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it was showing up as the wound of which many women have and is in my personal lineage and the collective feminine
Mm-hmm.
lineage. And that is, however the response was, the wound is that he doesn't understand, he's not going to support me, I have
Mm.
to do it by myself, I have to
Myself.
take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And in George and I recreating the foundation of our relationship and our partnership and our marriage, I bumped into that pretty hard and
Mm-hmm.
really had moments where, being still, I would feel it burning in my belly, that
Mm.
I had to let go of the turning away from, and a rebellion that did not have the sacred
Mm-hmm.
intention to it. It was just rebellion.
Yes.
I feel that that's a piece for women who are are in that way of believing, in that cultural programming, It's a very fine line to
It is a
sense.
very fine distinction. Are we just going along with it, or are we truly engaging and participating, right? And
Yes.
creating?
Yes.
It is. And that's part of the sacred rebellion that I'm speaking to, and what we're coming into as women, what we're coming into with the Aquarian age, with New Earth. Because I'm a little bit woo woo, and I mean, I can talk about like codes are coming in
Please
for
talk
any.
about that.
Okay, because I'm not like, I don't know much about astrology. Okay, I'm not an astrologer, but I can tell you like stuff for sure happens. Because I know when I go through stuff, my clients are like, oh, this happened, and there's a similar flavor, right? Like I see it in many women, and it's like, oh, the eclipse happened. Oh, this was the flavor. Oh, this happened. This was the flavor. And so I know the energies move celestially in ways that I don't always have access to. Sometimes in my meditations, but like as a human woman, right? As a human being, that's not something I'm constantly plugged into. But I do feel that we are moving into a whole new age. We are dismantling so many systems that don't work, and relationships is one of them.
Yes.
How we've done relationships, how we've raised kids, how we've done marriage. There's very huge portions of the population, whether you're talking about the United States or Europe or the Middle East, where it does not work. It doesn't work the way we've been doing it. There's things we don't know. We were not taught. I always say, why? Why weren't we taught about finances in school? Why weren't we taught about how to have a functioning, fulfilling, sustainable marriage where both partners' needs are met? Why? Right? Like, that's a little bit for like the other rebels in the audience. But so, yeah, there's definitely, we're moving into a whole new time. And I bet you everyone that's listening, that's in this audience, knows it and feels it. And it's coming in, that reality, that possibility, that energy, that opening
Mm.
in the collective consciousness is coming in.
Yes.
And I feel that's part of my work, is to bring that in. So thank you
Yes.
so much for having me so I could speak to this and this space.
It's my pleasure, and I agree with you completely that I've also seen you write, and you spoke it here in the beginning, that the foundation, first of all, of her creative power is coming into that relationship. Certainly, the piece that Tapestry brings is that full presence in herself. And you're
Mm,
speaking to the evolution of that, then the full presence of herself in partnership as well.
yes, exactly.
And I believe you mentioned the Aquarian energies. I believe, as I think you do from your reading, that our way forward as humanity has to be coming into a new way of being in partnership that, again, is creative, is generative, rather than simply, I married this person, my vow is forever, so I'm in it. Well, there's no juice in
No
that.
juice.
Certainly, as a foundational value, it's beautiful, but as an everyday creation of life, it's very stale.
There's no energy flow. Exactly. Exactly. And that is the way. And I think when we start having our relationships that way, when we start conducting our marriages that way, start raising our kids in those kinds of environments, what I have found as I've been sacredly rebelling in this realm is that, wait, this is actually divine design. Like like
Mm.
the more I've been moving into it, the more I'm like, this feels so out of the box because of not what we're told or taught. But now that I'm in it and that my body's in it, and in my church we have other sacred unions, which is amazing. So I have some other couples in my area. I'm like,
Love
oh, but
that.
this is what it's actually. I believe that that's divine design. So it's not
Mm.
like we are having to do this thing that is so against our nature. It's
Right?
actually men and women are so compatible, they're complements. And if we just reconnect with that, and maybe there is going to be a need to listen to somebody speak about that like I'm doing. I think there is that, right? To learn about those possibilities, to open our perception in those ways, right? But what I have found and what I see my clients as they move through the journey is like, wow, what a relief. Like, I hear that a lot. Like, what a relief.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
what a relief. It's like, yeah, because these are not the programs. This is your divine design as a feminine being, connecting as a counterpart to a partnership with a masculine being. And that divine design flows so beautifully because the masculine's energy, they want to generate, they want to offer, they want to contribute, they want to be of service. And so when we just let them
mm.
with that voice, right? Please put your gifts over here. This is where I want them, or over here. Oh, thank you. That was great. That's exactly where I wanted it to go, right? They want that. They want to generate that energy. They want to bring the wood for the fire. They want to build a house for our dreams. They want that healthy masculine man. So when we let them, when we receive that from them and then reciprocate, we
Mm.
receive and we reciprocate, then they're nourished and invited to generate again. And so the energy is flowing like that infinity. It's flowing. It's flowing from his heart, from his energy. It's coming into her heart. She's taking it in, receiving it, reciprocating it in her energy, goes back to his heart. So there's that nourishment, right? The opposite
Mm.
of what you said, not stale.
Yes.
It's alive. It's alive where the
Yes.
energy is flowing between the masculine and the feminine. They're co-creating, they're synergizing, they're working together. Is it always? No. We're human. Like, there's times in my marriage where I'm like, what did I do? Like, I feel so disconnected. Like, so then I have to be like, oh yeah, I didn't go for my walk today. Uh-huh. I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't nourish myself and I wasn't really in my power today. Okay, all right. So coming back to the basics. So my point about it is like it's already there to be had if we just tune out. And I hate to say this, but I don't know why there's so much misinformation. I mean, I do know why, but I'm not going to talk about that here. But there's so much that's just not it, right? And so when we can tune that out and start really focusing on what's divine design, like what is actually already there,
Mm.
it's a treasure. It's precious, and it's not it's not hard. It's not complicated. It's just not in our current day and age of 2023 November. It's just not like the most normal thing. But I'm hoping it will, and I think it is going to start becoming the norm, and in my opinion, as it should, and as is my passion and mission to help co-create on Earth at this time. So thank you again for having me so I could talk about this.
I love you talking about it. You have a refreshing voice about it. And to your point of it may not all be here now, I also feel a lot of these energies that are within tapestry, that are within your body of work, they are on the edge of these incoming, you say codes, I understand the language
Mm-hmm.
of codes, this incoming consciousness, because
Yes.
while we may not be seeing the evolution of humans the way that it's been taught in school and the way that it's been in the history that's very visible physically, the evolution that is on our planet now is very rapid and it's very intense and it's in the realm of the interior and the consciousness and the way that we're approaching things and this sacred rebellion against what's not working. It's not
Yeah.
just rebellion for the hell of it.
Right.
You know, to be a rebel, really, if we're going to step into that energy, there's a clarification between I'm just rebelling because I don't like this, because I'm sick of it, because I'm having a tantrum again. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm wreaking havoc, and a rebellion that is born of true grounded and aligned internal truth. And that's the massive evolution that's happening across our planet. I do believe that what we are talking about, if we could fast forward 20 years even down the road, this is not foreign. These
Yeah.
kinds of relationships are populous across the planet. They're easy to find and see. And our evolution then has become more and more, we begin with the human, we move into the partnership, we create the family becomes part of the community.
Yes.
This is where we are being called and moved into. So I do
Yes.
feel what you're speaking to today, even if it feels new and unusual and foreign in some way, it's where we are headed. And it's
Yes.
essential for truly our survival as humanity on this planet. We must come into that alignment, and then that 1 in 111 relationship of creation.
Yeah. And it's there. It's there for the taking now. It's
I
there
love that.
now. So
Yes.
it's a choice we make, and it's something we walk into with consciousness and desire and intention and will, and we can do it now. It's out there. It's just, we might have to take off a few layers of
Mm.
ideas or programs or wounds, or we all have them, but it's definitely there to be had.
What do you find, Amelia, in this work that women are most afraid of? What is the hesitancy? Because I want to relate that as well. When you were speaking, you said when you're working with women, you said it's very easy because it's our divine design, and that they
Mm-hmm.
experience relief.
Yeah.
What is the
Right.
relief, and how is that connected to the biggest challenge or fear that women have when it comes to co-creative, sacred partnership love?
I love you. I love your questions. This is so amazing. Well, it goes back to that energy flow. And so what I like to say is that in sacred union or in a healthy relationship, marriage, partnership, our superpower, if we're a feminine energy being, and of course we all have both masculine and feminine, but overall, if we decide to incarnate into a female body,
Mm.
we have the biochemistry of feminine, so we get to experience the feminine versus in a male body. Yes, there's variations. Yes, that's not for everybody, but that's not the norm. The norm is we choose a female body for a reason, we choose a male body for a reason. They work differently, they're biochemically different, right? But anyway, I was digressing. The thing that's so complicated, I think, for women is that I say your superpower is receptivity.
Mm.
If you're in a feminine body, your superpower is receptivity because you most likely came in with a feminine core polarity. Your superpower is receptivity. That means not the rah rah go do it energy, but the lean back and let life come to you and co-create with what's coming your way. It doesn't mean you don't generate. It just means you generate in a way that is deeply aligned with what you desire, and you're in touch with that. And that receptivity is something that we're trained out of at a very young
Mm.
age by society, by family of origin, and by trauma. Because when we grow up as little girls and we have trauma, what we do is we warrior up.
Yes.
We warrior up to survive. And so that receptivity is such a challenge then, because receptivity requires vulnerability.
Mm. Yes, it does. Exposure. It feels very raw
Yeah.
and naked. Like I've experienced it as a literal sensation in the most intense moments of a searing hot poker on raw flesh. Like it can
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
in the most intense moments of purifying and releasing
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
old ways that requires such deep humble vulnerability and willingness to stay with herself and burn through it. It's
Mm-hmm.
intense.
Mm-hmm. It can be. And that's, I see it over and over. That's the biggest block, the
Mm,
biggest difficulty women face for those reasons I described. You know, either she grew up in a family where mom did it all herself because it
mm,
was a single mom, or maybe dad was there but dad was absent emotionally, or maybe dad was abusive or emotionally unavailable, right? The trauma that's come through up through the generations because of war, right? Like I mean, it all comes down to war. I always say war starts in the family. If we can
mm,
create peace at home, then what does that mean?
yeah.
Then where else will we have peace, right? If we can
Mm,
have peace at home, where else will we have peace, right? So yeah, the receptivity is a big one because that requires vulnerability. And that's definitely something that, I mean, I work with that. I work with women on that specific piece, like every single day,
mm,
every single
mm.
day, because that is the challenge. That is the challenge, and that is the superpower. It's really being vulnerable. It's really um, being open. And then I think women frequently misinterpret that too. Like they think vulnerability just means you should just take whatever's offered. Well, then I teach on selective vulnerability, right? You don't have to take everything. You still can say, oh, no, thanks. Oh, yes, I would like that. More of that, please, right? Like that whole piece of the inner calibration of what we desire, and then allowing the outside in the form of the masculine energy that comes in our life through the men that we date or that we're with, bring that to us because they really
Yes, they
want to.
do. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
they really want to.
absolutely. And so, would you say her relief then, once she's able to deepen into vulnerability, would you say her relief is that she's no longer carrying those protections and defenses, which are exhausting, truly,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and keep her heart? I mean, we want to love. We're
Mm-hmm.
wired to love. We're wired to love deeply and with intense devotion. And
Yes.
when that doesn't have free movement, it's very debilitating
Yes.
and it's exhausting.
Yes. And it's just crazy. How did we come into that? Which to me, when you think about like the divine design versus how we be right now, sometimes most of us, how did we ever get there? Like,
Mm,
how did we ever create all these walls and barbed wires around our hearts and right? And like I said, it's the trauma, it's the unhealthy masculine and the unhealthy feminine and the dynamics that we were shown. But we can choose differently. We have that ability. We have that ability. And it's crazy because my single women that come in, I actually teach them that in the dating journey. Like we
mm,
approach the whole dating journey through the lens of the sacred energy flow. Like from the get-go, from the first online message exchange, from the first phone call, from the first date, that's what I want them available for. That's
mm,
how they're gonna know if this man has potential. You know, and women come in when they first think about dating because of how they've done it or how they saw their girlfriends done it, or they think, oh, it's I'm going shopping and I'm going shopping for a boyfriend. It's like, actually, no, it's the sacred practice of, can you create this with him? Can he be present to
mm,
that with you?
mm,
That's the
mm.
whole point of a date.
That's so, first of all, beautiful to hear you say it and witness, but within my being, it has a very welcome, gentle, open, connected sensation of energy when you speak about it that way. And that's what we want ultimately.
Yeah. That's what we want, because healthy masculine men are going to show up and be in that energy.
Mm.
And the only way we'll know is if we can sense it, if we have that part of our self open so that we can perceive that.
Mm.
And women get so frustrated. Well, I've tried the online dating program. I've been dating, it never works. It's awful. It's terrible. I mean, I don't think anyone has done it the way I teach. That's why, they think it's so terrible, because it is. It's on the superficial level of the games and like how much money does he make, like all the things that are circumstantial that, they're not a foundation for sacred partnership,
There's no
right?
juice. There's no
No,
juice.
there's no
While there
juice.
might be this good feeling of, oh my gosh, he's stunningly handsome, he makes money, whatever those exterior things are, without, as you say, that sacred energy flow, and I always see the infinity symbol between
Mm-hmm.
hearts, there's no
Mm-hmm.
juice. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. That all
Doesn't
the rest
matter.
of that becomes very stale over time without the heart energy flow in motion, like the true heart energy flow.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about Hungary.
Uh-huh.
I said in my preview post there are 4 H's. So we talked about Hungary. Let's talk about healing, hot springs, and horses.
Oh
What
my
what
goodness.
is that?
Oh, thank you for asking me about that. So there's hot springs here in my little town, which the name is Haley. That's the name of the town. It means Beaver Field Marketplace, because it's a very flat area and there used to be a lot of beavers here until they moved the river. And so then it was a marketplace. So anyway, when my husband told me that was the name of his hometown, I laughed really hard and he was a little offended. He was like, why are you laughing? I was like, Beaverfield Market, like, but anyway, so now I live in Beaverfield Marketplace
I
and
love it.
there's a hot springs here. And so I was going in the hot springs, and I also got to create my dream of having a horse with my husband's incredible co-creation. He helped me with that. I just wrote a post about that today. But
I love those posts that you write about that, by the
oh,
way.
thank you. So that's the
Mm.
horse magic piece, right? The hot springs and then the heart healing. And so I had this download of like, wow, what if I bring women here? What if I let them experience this unadulterated, wild,
Mm.
small little European town with the horses at the rustic barn at the with the beautiful hot springs, and I wanted to do a retreat. So I'm planning a retreat for 2024. I think it will probably be sometime in the fall because that's the cheapest time to travel and I want to make it
Mm.
affordable. But I want to create a healing retreat with hot springs and horses. I mean, I'm creating a healing retreat with hot springs and horses. So that will be on my Facebook at some point when I'm ready to launch that and open the doors. But yes, so that's what I'm doing. So I wanted to call women into the heart of this place that has its own sweet,
Mm.
special energy, and for me to have an opportunity to meet them in person and do the healing work in person and
I love
start
this.
creating that foundation for a sacred union. Yeah.
I love this, especially because I can feel how alive it is in you.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
love it for the women who will be there because your medicine is
Yeah.
exquisite. I also love it through the lens of tapestry because that's a foundational piece of what tapestry is about, which is we're doing a virtual event this year, but following the event, and certainly your retreat will be included, we will create a resource page for women
Mm-hmm.
to connect with other women in person,
Yes.
locally or around the planet at different
Mm-hmm.
retreats or gatherings. And we need that. We need
We need that.
the
We really need
in-person
that.
connection. The virtual is beautiful and exquisite, and yet we need that presencing and witnessing and touching and creating together in a physical space. And like, I can't imagine a better place than horses and hot springs in Hungary with
Yes,
a natural healing that comes.
yes, and there's a sweet little hotel. My husband and I went and we talked to the owner. There's a sweet little hotel with just a touch of luxury, so it's just so cute how we have like this rustic piece of like the horse barn and the hot springs. It's not anything fancy. It's not like those fancy baths they have in Budapest, which is the capital, which by the way, I would definitely recommend that to anybody. But the simplicity, but also like this cute little hotel downtown and all the like cool, really beautiful European buildings. And it's just a little
Oh,
tiny boutique hotel that I'm gonna hold it in. That's just like has this amazing food and buffet. Like it's just so it's just gonna be so beautiful. Like it'll be, rustic but with a touch of luxury. Yeah.
it feels very decadent. It feels very
Yes.
decadent. And you have such a beautiful way of weaving not simplicity, but a very down to earth languaging of these in many ways higher dimension energetics. Like I love the way that you bring it down and make it accessible. And when you speak about this charming little hotel, I feel that. I feel the you exude the innocence of the feminine heart and of her
Oh, thank you,
expression.
Jacqueline.
uh,
Wow, thank you. What an honor to I received that compliment. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you
It's
for seeing
beautifully
me.
woven into your work. Like it's so touchable. It's not you have to do this or these are the rituals and these are all the ways you change your behavior. It's very inviting to the natural feminine essence to allow herself gently and yet powerfully to open these places. I love how you communicate it. I love how you hold it. I can only imagine the impact on your clients and the changes they experience in their lives.
Thank you. It is a deep honor.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
it's a deep honor to do this work. It definitely makes every bit of trial and tribulation I went through on the way so worth it. But yeah, it's such an honor. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for seeing me. I feel really honored.
mm. It's my pleasure. It's obvious to me. You exude joy in your life, in your love, in your mothering, in your creativity, and in this body of work, which is all of that is your artistry. And I love witnessing it. I love being in the presence of it. I'm very happy to shine a light on it. You will be our first speaker on 11/11. You are opening the day.
Wow, thank you. Oh my goodness, what an
Yes,
honor.
yes.
Holy moly, guacamole. That's
You will
amazing.
set the tone, my love. You will set the
Oh,
tone.
how great is that? Oh, thank you. And thank you. I mean, it takes one to know one, right? Like
Yeah.
that's all this amazing work you're doing and bringing us together and holding the sacred container and connecting us and creating all the foundation. I mean, thank you. So grateful. Such powerful feminine leadership.
Thank you. It's my also honor. I understand that language. It's a gift. It's a pleasure. And thank you. I truly want women to witness a buffet of
Mm-hmm.
feminine artistry being her power, her creative juice,
Mm-hmm.
her expression, herself, her alignment. I want women around the planet to see it
Yeah.
looks any way that is right for her being. And there are
Yes.
many expressions, and you beautifully bring this sacred partnership love forward. I do also want to say, Amelia, because for anybody listening who's drawn to your work, Amelia has so generously brought her body of work into Tapestry. And as we move through the 11/11 weekend and into the offerings that will follow. And I'm not going to get into all the pieces. We have a discount code that is Indigo. Amelia has a beautiful trio of offerings that will go towards, and is I can't think of the word that I want, but that discount can be applied. And to me, it's because you are so in love with what you're doing,
I
and
really
it's your
am.
right path.
It is. It really is. It's so exciting to be here. And also, it's fucking hard, but I love it.
I understand. I understand. That's where that
Yeah.
feminine power and the ability to
Yeah.
stand in herself and
Yeah.
know.
It's so worth
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
But not for the faint of heart, right?
it is not for the faint of heart. It
No,
is
it is
not.
not.
We will go through initiations, and it will bring us even more deeply home. Amelia, I adore you. I am so looking forward to listening to all you have to share on 11/11 and beyond, because I know what we are weaving goes far beyond just this experience we're creating for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for your leadership.
Mm, mm, thank you. Thank you, everybody. You can find Amelia. I've tagged her. You can connect there, go to her Facebook wall, message her, get on her website, set up a consultation, whatever feels good, or just come to the Tapestry event and hear her share more magic. Amelia, thank you so much.
Jacqueline, so good to be with you.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.